Hello everyone, it's me, Priscilla Diaz, and I play Jessica on the new version of The Electric Company, and I'm so excited to be here because I'm about to interview an incredible, accomplished woman whose career has been inspiring actors for the past 5 decades. She's the first and only Hispanic to win a Grammy, an Oscar, an Emmy, Golden Globe, and Tony Awards. And did I mention she was in the original cast of The Electric Company? Well, I can only be speaking of the wonderful and amazing Rita Moreno. Welcome, thank you.
That was lovely. You got all this stuff down. Thank you. That's really nice.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for inviting us in your home. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I like it too.
I bet you do. Well, I want to tell you a little bit about the YouTube moderator, where a couple of weeks ago, I was able to ask certain fans to submit and vote on their favorite questions for me to ask you today. And here they are.
I love that. So we're getting questions from kids out there?
Yep.
Or maybe some older kids,
Oh,
huh?
yes. Oh, yes.
Some of them losing their hair even?
Yeah. Like my dad probably. He probably has something in there. Anyways, well, we're going to get it started. You guys ready? You ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's get it started. Okay, so the first question is, how about a cameo return to the new show by Devil 167? I
would love to do that. I would love to do that. I'd love to come in and just surprise everybody and just say, "Hey, you guys!" Wouldn't that be fun?
Awesome. Well, there you go. Thank you. That's so cool. Okay, let's see. What's the best interaction you ever had with someone who saw you on The Electric Company as a kid?
Oh, I have the story right here because I've never forgotten it. We were already on the air about 1 year, and I was at Bloomingdale's because I was living in New York at the time where we did The Electric Company, and a little bitty girl comes up to me, and she says, and she looks up, because she's really tiny, so she's looking way up, and she says, "The electric cup of tea." And I said, "Yeah, that's right, the electric cup of tea." That's how she heard it. And then she said to me, this is the best part, she said, "How did you get out?" Meaning, how did I get out of the box, the television box? And I went into this long explanation. I said, "Well, like your mommy and daddy have a camera and they take pictures. Well, that's what we do with the Electric Company. They have these much bigger cameras." And I just went on and on. I must have talked for at least 5 or 6 minutes, and she's just staring at me and nodding. And finally I said, "And that's how I managed to get out of the box." And she said to me, "Yes, but how did you get out of the box?" She didn't understand a word I said. I shouldn't have bothered. I should have just said, "Magic." But it was so cute. "How did you get out?"
That's so beautiful.
Oh, it's so sweet.
Oh my God, and that was a year into the Electric Company?
Yeah, a year into the Electric Company. And, I'd have people constantly yelling, "Hey, you guys," at me.
Did she do that or no?
No.
No, she didn't.
No, she was such a little bitty thing.
Aww.
But, there were older kids. I'm told that once we started doing that yell, which became immensely popular, that a lot of school principals were going bananas because the kids were yelling it all over the halls, up and down the halls of the public schools. And it started from one skit that I did with Bill Cosby.
Yes.
And he was playing the milkman. And it was the very first time we'd done a Millie the Helper and Bill always playing some other character. And it occurred to me that it would be fun to just yell at the top of my lungs like they used to do in the old movies. "Hey, you guys!"
"Milkman, leave 1 of milk."
Right.
I don't get that.
Well, this is the kind of problem you run into, you see.
No kidding.
That's right. You see, there's a piece of paper that's torn off a part of the note. Right. Now, you have to find out what the missing word is.
Oh, well, that's easy. "Hey, you guys!"
And the kids just glommed onto that, and they loved it.
Yeah.
And to this day, sometimes I'll go into a restaurant and I'll pass somebody at a table who's balding, and they'll say to me, "Hey, you guys." And I look at them, with no hair. I'm saying, "Wait a minute, I'm not that old, am I?"
It's so funny because even now in the new generation with the new electric company, we do have a lot of kids come out and say, "Hey, you guys!" in the
that's great.
playground, and I meet a lot of kids on the subway or wherever I am, and they're like, "That's Jessica," and I go, "Hey, you guys!" and they just love it. It's such a great trademark. It's amazing. Let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
Can you still belt out "Hey, you guys" like you used to?
Yes, I can, but can we prepare the sound so that I don't destroy everything? Am I okay? I'll try to control it so it's not as insane as it used to be. Hey, you guys!
I love it. I love it. Look at that. That's amazing.
Oh, I don't dare do it as loud as I did. I'd probably blow out the microphone.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen. Let's move on to the next question. How did you feel about the use of slapstick comedy like pies in the face to help kids like me grow?
I think it was terrific. And my favorite thing whenever we did pie throwing or getting a pie in the face is, and all the people who were manning the cameras and stuff would run away from me, because if I was getting a pie either in the face or getting it in my hand and I was playing the little brat, remember the little brat with the golden curls? They knew I'd go after them off camera, and everybody would run away from me. Or if I got smeared, I go, "Let me hug you, come here." So I would smear anybody that I could. We had a lot of fun on that show.
Oh, I bet you did.
We really did. We laughed a lot.
We did recently an episode with pies. It's called Pies for Puppies. And then towards the end, after we shot the whole episode, we had a pie fight.
Oh, yeah.
With the crew. It's so much fun to do stuff
Oh, with
like
the
that.
crew? Did they
Yes.
let you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, our crew didn't like that too much, but I'd chase them all over the studio.
Let's move on to the next question. Okay, so who's your favorite person on the electric company?
I think my favorite was one of the characters I played. And that was, we called her Pandora, because when they found her and they opened that box, out came toads and worms and this terrible brat. And the kids loved her too, because she could get away with murder. But the other character that wasn't played by myself, I loved, was Morgan Freeman playing Dracula.
Oh.
And I remember we did a scene once as the little girl, and Dracula, who comes into her bedroom, and he says, "Hello, little girl." "Who are you?" And she takes her teddy bear and beats the living daylights out of him, so he has to run away. I love the idea of this terrible little girl driving away Dracula and scaring him.
That's so funny. Move on to the next question. So, hello, Miss Moreno. Thanks for taking my question. What is the story with the gorilla? Where did he come from? And why a gorilla?
That's a really good question. And you know what my answer is?
I don't know.
Oh, we knew that it was funny. It was something wonderfully delicious about, and again, that was Judy Grobart who played his friend, and just helped Paul the gorilla with all kinds of things. And it's the kind of thing that would appeal to children.
Yes.
And it did. You know, whenever you can do things that are very silly or unusual, it'll capture the attention of children. And that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
The way to get them to learn to read is to first to interest them in some kind of skit. And what I love so much about Joan Gans Cooney, who runs the Children's Television Workshop, is that she always said, first we entertain, then we teach. Because the only way to teach really, especially when you're trying to get very young people, is to grab their attention.
Yep.
She's so smart. I admire her immensely.
Did you ever interact with Paul the gorilla? What was your favorite
Oh,
moment?
I never did. I always asked if I could work with him, and they just said, no, he has his girlfriend, and that's it. You're not you. But I played a lot of different characters.
That's awesome. Next question. Miss Rita, thanks for so many entertaining, inspiring, sad, and funny moments. Since the Electric Company, have you been involved with other literacy projects? Maybe you've spoken about the power of words to groups. How did the electric company go beyond acting for you? Best wishes.
What a marvelous question, and it's filled with the real interest about children. Yes, in fact, I do a lecture, and it's called The Power of Words. And it's a marvelous lecture. It's very funny because words can be very confusing.
Yeah.
Take it from someone who only spoke Spanish when she came to this country. I never spoke English. I was thrown into kindergarten not knowing a word of English, which was really, really difficult. And I know there are kids out there right now who are saying, oh boy, that's me. I'm glad I'm to hear I'm not the only one. And I just loved doing, to answer the whole question, I love doing the electric company because it's what we talked about earlier, which is that you're doing something really important. You're contributing to something very important, and at the same time, you're having a heck of a time. You're really enjoying it. And also, I tried to use my imagination as an actress to try to make the characters that I played interesting or very silly or wild or wacky. That's the whole idea. And you have to be an actress, really, or an actor to be able to do that, to play many different characters.
I agree. You know, to add on to that, I love to be involved with a lot of other literacy projects as well. And one of my favorite things to do with the electric company is actually doing live shows where you're actually in the audience in front of the kids and they're looking at you, and these are the kids that see you every day on TV.
Have you done this?
I
You've done
have.
Oh, we didn't do that at the time.
I have. And
How
it's
marvelous.
the most inspirational moment I've ever experienced, and I do it a lot. And to see the kids just like going along with the words while I'm rapping about a certain vowel or a certain word, and they're just going along with it, and they know about this. And it's just so, it makes the job all worthwhile besides having fun, you know?
Right.
It just really
that's
shows
lovely.
that this is working, it's helping, you know?
Yes. Oh,
So I
yeah.
agree.
Makes you feel very good, doesn't it?
It does make me feel very
It's
good.
a huge reward.
Yeah, it is, especially for someone like me who's, you know, very, like I said, I've always had difficult with literacy and words and everything. So for me to come out of my shell and actually show the world what I can do, and I want to teach you and you teach me, it's kind of like just a beautiful moment.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it is. Let's move on to the next question. You want to read this one, actually?
Sure. What was the this is great. What was the contingency plan if you got laryngitis? For those who don't understand what contingency means, it means in case.
Yeah.
So if you got laryngitis, who would have done the "Hey, you guys" easy reader? No. You know who would have done it? Just me, because we always pre-recorded that. I didn't do it live every single time. That was put on film forever and forever, so that they just laid that in at the beginning of every show.
That's great.
Yeah. Morgan couldn't have done it anyway.
Let's move on. What is your favorite memory from the West Side Story film?
I have so many memories from the West Side Story film that it's difficult to pick one. But if I had to pick one, I would say it's the dance numbers.
Oh, yeah?
I loved doing them. The choreography was like no choreography I had ever seen. Nobody had ever seen those kind of dance steps in their life in a film.
Yeah.
It was just so different and so unique and so special to that particular choreographer, whose name was Jerome Robbins. He was an absolute genius. And they were terrifically difficult dances. And at the time that I got that part, I hadn't danced in about, I hesitate to say it, but about 16 years.
Wow.
And I went to dancing school, and I killed myself to try to catch up. I don't think I ever really did. The other dancers were just, you know, way past me. But I did work extremely hard, and I loved it. And, you know, America, I Like to Be in America, is just one of the great numbers of all time.
Yeah.
And my favorite number in terms of just in sheer drama
Right.
is Cool.
Cool.
Cool because it was very intense and it was very serious. And you don't ever see dances that are like that. You know, everybody's always very happy and kicking their legs up and pirouetting and all that. And Cool is all about how these kids feel. because they're afraid that something bad has happened to Tony. So it's very unusual kind of dance number. You never see that.
So it was very different. The whole film was just
Completely.
very different.
It was all different because also we didn't have beautiful costumes like musicals had all the time. You know, sequins and sparkles and bling.
This was all
Yeah, just street kids.
street kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Let's move on. What is it like to be an EGOT?
Well, you have to explain EGOT to the kids.
An EGOT is when someone wins both like the Academy Award, Emmys, Grammys, Oscars, and what's the other?
Golden Globe.
Golden Globe, the Tonys, all of those. If you win all of those 5,
So
you
that's
become an
Emmy, Golden Globe,
Oscar, and a
a
Tony.
Tony, which is for theater. And what is it like? It's great. What's not to like? And you know what really means the most to me? That a Puerto Rican or a Hispanic woman, female, is an EGOT. That makes me extremely proud.
And we all are proud of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's move on. What was your favorite moment on the Electric Company? Did you ever think it was going to become as successful as it was?
One of my favorite moments on the Electric Company, that's kind of hard because every day was a treat. Really, every day was a treat. And as I always say, I loved working with Morgan Freeman and Bill Cosby. By the way, Bill Cosby wasn't that big a star at the time.
Right.
Morgan was completely unknown.
Yes.
He was just easy reader. And I remember that sometimes he got impatient doing the show because he really wanted to be an actor on the stage.
Right.
And none of us had any idea what a brilliant actor he was. And we could understand his impatience, and I certainly do now, to answer that part of it. And did we ever think it was going to be as successful as it was? I did. I really did, because I thought when I used to watch Sesame Street with my daughter all the time, that's what got her interested in reading. I thought, what they need now is a reading show. I was saying to myself. And then about 2 to 3 years after Sesame Street was on the air, they decided to do a real reading show. And I was thrilled. And I couldn't imagine it not working. I couldn't imagine children not being attracted to it, because not the Electric Company, but the workshop, the children's television workshop, researches everything to death, and they know what children want. They really, really do know. Yeah. And we had some great producers on that program, and terrific writers who, by the way, are now writing sitcoms. I mean, they're big time.
Yeah, that is so true. Let's move on. Okay, my nephew Alfonso has been in my head for over 30 years. Do you ever find yourself unconsciously singing it out loud?
Well, Bada Chick, yeah, I do. I still love it because the fellow who played my nephew Alfonso is Luis Avalos, and he's a very dear friend of mine. And I always think of him playing that shy little boy with that hat on, that silly kind of prissy little hat. And I love it, too, just like you. Bada Chick, I love that name. Next, okay, shall I read this one?
Yes, please.
Was working on the Electric Company as much fun for you as it was for me watching as a kid? Thanks for teaching me my ABCs. John Geffrion, I hope. I loved it. I had the best time, one of the best times of my life, truly ever, professionally and personally, was on the Electric Company and doing it. I loved it.
Wow.
I miss it, actually.
Aww.
Yeah.
And what do you miss the most?
The fun and the camaraderie that we had, the friendship. Because I think someone asked me a question about, were you tight? We were so tight. We broke each other up. We were funny. We were acting. We were terrible. We were like naughty children. I remember one time we had a very raucous lunch, and we were still feeling very raucous. And we got into the elevator to get up to our studio soundstage. And there was one lone person in the elevator, and we just started to scream and yell and carry on like maniacs. This poor man, just sort of sank into a corner saying, I'm in an elevator with lunatics. And he punched, a button to get off as quickly as possible. We were very bad.
Let's move on.
Are you surprised at the longevity of you and your co-stars? I'm not. Morgan Freeman is still easy reader to me. Tappan Troy. What a sweet question. No, I'm not surprised. I think this is the kind of show that should go on forever. Like Sesame Street is still around, and for a good reason. There's a whole different generations are seeing the show, and I don't see any reason why the electric company shouldn't also just go on and on and on. There are new kids all the time who have trouble reading, who don't want to read. My daughter was one of the children who didn't want to read. She just wasn't interested.
Yeah.
And we used to watch Sesame Street together, and that began to sort of make her interested, but it was the electric company that really taught her to read. And she became, to this day, she loves to read, and that makes me so happy.
Yeah, that is great. It makes me happy.
Yeah, sure. Let's see what's next.
What is your favorite word?
Well, it's really two. Can I do two?
Yes, please.
It's really three.
Okay,
Can
do
I do 3?
You can do 3.
It's really 10. No, I'm kidding. Just want to see how patient you're going to be with me. It's really just 2. Rosita Dolores.
Rosita Dolores.
That's my real name.
Wow.
And I love it now.
How do you say it
love
again?
now. Rosita Dolores.
Dolores. Everybody.
Rosita Dolores. Isn't that a pretty
so
name?
Beautiful.
You know, I didn't think so when I was a kid.
Well, yeah.
Isn't that awful? But especially, I think when when you were a Hispanic kid, the last thing in those days, because I must tell you, the world wasn't exactly friendly to Hispanic people for quite some time. And some of that still does exist.
Yes.
And you wanted to be named Susie. You really desperately wanted to be named Susie or Tina or, that kind of stuff. And now I think, that's the most beautiful name. And that name is on my wedding certificate. My true name.
And that's so beautiful. Can I say it again?
Rosita.
Rosita
Dolores.
Dolores.
Thank you.
That's
I
so
love
cool. I love it. I really do. And your favorite next word?
The next one, that was it.
That was it?
That's it,
That's
man.
it. Can I say my favorite word?
Okay.
My favorite word is persevere.
Oh, that has deep meaning.
Yeah, and I love that word because it really signifies what I became and what I think of in life.
What does it mean?
And
Tell the kids.
it means persevere is to keep on trying and not giving up, to keep going for what you want to go for. And till this day, I will keep persevering to become
the best that you can be.
The best that I can be.
And it's interesting that that's your favorite word because it's a word I use a great deal when I speak to young people.
Yes.
Teenagers and all that. And in Spanish, perseveranza.
Perseveranza.
Hay que perseverar. Perseverar.
Let's move on. I hear that you're an actor, dancer, and singer. Triple threat. How did you incorporate your dancing and singing into your acting career?
Well, one thing really follows the other in a way. I started as a Spanish dancer with castanets.
Oh, yeah.
Castañuelas. And that's what I was doing. And I was dancing to records when I was a teeny weeny little girl. I used to dance for Grandpa. And when I came to this country from Puerto Rico, someone saw me, a friend of my mother's who was a dancer, saw me dancing around and bopping around the apartment. And she said, Rosita should let me take her to a dance teacher. I think she just has talent. I just have a feeling. And that's how it all started. And then from there, it seemed natural to be able to sing as well. So you could sing and dance. And then I loved to act. I was a very dramatic child, especially being a Hispanic child. We all have mucho drama y teatro in our lives. That's how we are. And so this is the most natural thing in the world, just to also, go into acting. And it's wonderful because, and here's another reason why it's wonderful, because when there were no jobs for dancing, I could still get jobs singing, or I could get jobs acting. So I was a real, as it says, a triple threat. And a lot of people nowadays specialize.
Moving on, let's see what we have. Okay, do you still get letters from the electric company fans? And did you ever think the show would be in schools and used as curriculum?
Yes, actually, I still do get letters. They're all grown-up people now, of course, you know. And I mean, I still see when I still do concerts where I sing and tell stories. And there will always be people in the audience who were the kids who were watching me when they were kids. And yes, we did know that it was going to be used as curriculum. That was the hope.
No, yeah.
We hoped that the show would be so successful, or Joan Gans Cooney, that is, hoped that the show would be so successful that the schools would want it.
Yeah.
And they did, and it was thrilling, just beyond thrilling.
Wow, that's great.
Good question.
And even in the new version of the electric company, they use it in schools as well, so it's great for the new generation. Let's move on, let's see. When you were on the electric company, did you ever think it was going to be as revolutionary as it turned out to be?
Yes.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, because I thought Sesame Street was revolutionary. And I thought, if these people are going to do a reading show, it's going to be revolutionary. It's going to be transformative. It's going to transform what children's shows are all about. And by golly, it did. I mean, up till then, a lot of children's shows were, well, good morning, everybody. Shall we sing the song? Good morning to you, and stuff like that. And what they were doing really was talking down to the children, whereas the Children's Television Workshop said, no, we're going to talk to these children and relate to these children as they are. And they understand a heck of a lot more than you think they do. You'll see.
Here are your 5 words. Concentrate. When you concentrate on something, you think about just that thing and nothing else. Straight. If something doesn't curve or bend, it's straight. Direction. Direction is the way that something is going. Target. A target is the thing that you aim for. Twice. Twice means 2 times. So we have concentrate, straight, direction, target, and twice. Watch out for them in today's show.
You know, when I was a little girl, children were treated like little idiots.
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't, nobody even dreamed of showing you a book except with pictures or a coloring book. And somebody would read to you what it said underneath the picture. And, you know, that's unheard of right now, which is terrific. And we have the Electric Company and Sesame Street to thank for that, and the Children's Television Workshop.
Okay, so what books are you reading now, and what projects are you currently working on?
Well, at the moment, I'm reading a book. I love autobiographies, and for some of you who don't know what that word means, it means the story of a person's life. And I'm reading Andre Agassi, the great tennis player's life. It's a book called Open, which is an amazing book, and it's a page-turner. Boy, you do not want to put this one down. And there's another book called When I Was Puerto Rican by Esmeralda Santiago. I mean, there's a pretty name. Esmeralda, that means emerald, Santiago. And it's all about her life when she was a young girl in New York City as a Puerto Rican girl. And I love autobiographies, but I think I already said that. I love to hear about other people's lives and mostly how they handled their lives when things were difficult. You can learn a lot from that. You can learn what not to do, too.
Yeah.
You can be inspired, and you can be inspired not to do certain things.
That's right. Next question. So when did you realize that the Electric Company was a hit? What are Morgan Freeman and Bill Cosby really like?
When did we realize that the Electric Company was a hit? I think almost immediately. I think, well, it was so unique. And I think at the time it followed, it was smart programming. I think it followed Sesame Street. I'm not sure, but I think it did. So that you still had your audience right there. And though it was aimed at slightly older children. But here's the interesting thing. They found out that the kids from Sesame Street were starting to watch the Electric Company. And that's how they found out also that children are infinitely more intelligent than people thought they were. I mean, all the research didn't show that. And it was just fascinating that the children from Sesame Street were beginning to just love the Electric Company.
Wow. And it's true. I have a lot of kids come up to me that are much younger or even my age that just love to watch the show.
I had an aunt, my husband's aunt, who came from Poland, who was illiterate. She couldn't read English. She could speak Hebrew and Yiddish, but she couldn't in English. And she started to learn how to read English from my show, from the Electric Company. That moved me to tears. I just thought, well, I really know. If I never did, it just completely convinces me that this does such a great, great service. And to answer the whole question, what are Morgan Freeman and Bill Cosby really like? They're terrific. They're just the best people in the whole world. Morgan, I was being honored one time with the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And Morgan actually flew himself over here when I was living in Los Angeles, to MC a show that was being done in my honor. That's pretty fabulous.
Pretty fabulous. Yes, it was. Really sweet of him.
Yeah.
What was your favorite project, TV, film, theater, that you worked on?
Hands down, West Side Story. The second would have been The Electric Company. But West Side Story, for one thing, made me famous in a way that I never was before that. And it gave me 2 very precious awards. I got the Oscar, and I got the Golden Globe for that. So,
Wow.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, it should be.
Next, let me read this one.
Oh, yes, please.
I'd love to ask who her, meaning me, favorite gown designer was in the 50s and 60s, and what she did with all her glamorous clothing. I still have some of my glamorous clothing, and my favorite designers at the time, they were usually movie designers, like Edith Head, who did a lot of stuff for Paramount Films, and Jean-Louis, who did a lot of gowns and costumes, many, many costumes for MGM Studios, where I was under contract when I was a younger girl.
I like that vest.
Isn't this
Yeah, I
marvelous?
can't stop taking my eyes off of it.
Well, that's why I wore it. I figured, what would be good for the Electric Company? Yes, something colorful.
Yeah, it's really pretty. All right, let's see what we have.
What was it that attracted you to the Electric Company, and what was it that kept you on the show? Well, that's a good question. First of all, what attracted me to the Electric Company was having a little child, a daughter, who actually was not interested in reading at all. And when the Children's Television Workshop, which was the production company that made the show, asked me if I would be on it, I thought, absolutely. Let's see how you guys do it, since I can't seem to accomplish interesting my daughter in reading. And then what kept me on it was the very same reason. Aside from the fact, of course, that I was working with some wonderful performers and actors, and it was just simply fun. It was exhausting, but it was enormous fun, and I'm so proud to this day of my participation in that great show, as you should be, and I'm sure you
And
are.
I am. I really appreciate it. I'm very proud of myself as well.
Great.
This was the last question on the moderator for YouTube, but I don't think it's the last question that I have to ask. And I want to ask you something.
Okay.
You know, I first came in your house and I just saw, all the amazing things you've done and all the awards you've won, and you're so successful. But what do you think made you successful? What do you think? You say you stand up and you say, I'm successful. What makes you successful?
What makes me successful?
Yes.
It's your favorite word. What's your favorite word?
Persevere.
Perseverance. Sticking to your guns, and having a respect for the vision that you have for yourself.
That's right.
And what you think that you can be, no matter what anybody says. I always say, don't let anyone ever interfere with your focus and your vision of what you want to be in this life, because they don't know you. And nobody can say, well, you know, your hair's too curly. And then you'll never get a job because your hair's too curly. And you say, watch me. Just watch me.
Wow, that was great. Thank you so much, and thank you for letting us in your home again and answering these questions and for inspiring so many people, including me and including the last and new generation.
Oh, it's
Thank
my
you so much,
pleasure.
Rita.
I'm just so happy to be back with the electric company. It's a pleasure for me.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in on our official YouTube channel. And we'll check you out some other time. Bye.